Okay, so hi everyone. Just attempting to showcase the code here. When I did this project, I didn't know that we have to make a video coding it out, and so I did it following a certain video that we used to like learn how to make stuff. So, anyways, um, I'll explain some of the code that I did, and it's for basically, I think it's for plagiarism purposes. So I'll explain some of the code I did, and well, I wanted to add something, so I'm gonna attempt to add it. Should be a 20 to 30-minute video here. Okay, so um, first, first off, made a gem, um, and using something called, or a gem called UniRest that I went to this website called rapidapi, and that's what is suggested on there. So anyways, this right here is an API class, and this stuff that is jumbled up over here is me attempting to sort out the data into getting a hash or the hashes that I wanted and discarding everything else that is unwanted, I guess, because the the body when we get the parsed um, HTML basically or the data is all jumbled up and have like stuff that we really didn't need. So I kind of attempted to get rid of it here, and this took me a little while. But what I did is checked in what the class the response is, and then kind of like shifting it and cutting it and slicing stuff out of it. And at the end, I got to this part right here where it says data, and then iterated over it to create hashes. And that's right here is used basically right here in this initialize method, which creates basically country objects for us. Should I explain a little bit about the API? So the API that I'm using is about the coronavirus. And when I first used it, and everything was printing out, it was printing out about 249 like feedbacks or hashes, and every hash contains a country, a province, or a state. Last time updated, confirmed amount of like people who has the disease or a virus, the death and recovered, and then they added city afterwards. And so the API got updated. So I updated the application and then I pushed it to GitHub. So anyways, on the update, I added city right here, and then the hashes went up from 249 to something like 3,400. So I'll show that in a little bit here. Okay, so anyways, we get the API to use it over here to create country objects with these attributes, which are basically here. They don't have like name for the country. They have something called country, so I have to use country. So if it's a little ambiguous, that's why. So they have country, city, state, last update, confirmed amount of people dead, and then recovered. So that's the attributes for every object that we're going to have. So what we did here is we saved them all to, or pushed all the objects to an array at all using the basically save method. And then right here is basically a method to find, so basically the user can type in country like US, and then it'll show all the data on the in like the US hashes. It'll take every single one and print it out for the user. Which basically is a lot because they edit city, so now it's printing out about something like 200 cities or something like that, or 200, I guess, hashes. And so I'm gonna try to make a method to where if you type in like the city name, it'll give you that response by itself. I wanted to do a method like by index, but it looks very complicated. So I'm gonna do it by city, and maybe we'll do by index later on if need if need be. Um, okay, so let me explain a little bit here what I did. So basically, this is the CLI class that we created. I put in an add a request accessor as a user, and basically it'll ask the user about for his name, and then I used something called, well, so I wanted to do something cool, which is printing every character slowly. So I iterated over basically a string, and then printed, excuse me, every letter with a little bit of a sleep in between printing every single letter. And so I use this method right here. I put it in a method called slow motion, and then I can call that on any string, and I'll do the same thing for that string. So I only did it from the menu because I figured I researched something, and it says that basically when the data is loading, it's gonna, if it's a lot of data, it usually takes a long time to load. And so I basically, since we're calling the API here in the call method, the data is going to load while the user is seeing that message printed kind of slowly instead of like instantly. So then there's no lag whenever the data is posted. So that's why I did that. Not to be fancy or anything, just because I wanted a better user experience, because that's one of the requirements of the project. Okay, so in the call method here, basically I called the username and then made it print the welcome and the name, and then right here if the user enters list to see country list, which I'm gonna update that and put to see country list, or actually not here, where it should be here is where I need to update it. Which country or city. I'm gonna make a method to find um, basically a city name instead of country name, because that'll be easier for the user. Okay, my scrolling is like not working good. Anyways, so we get here. This is a menu method, and it basically takes an input, and if the input is equal to list, it's gonna basically call this method right here, which this method, what it'll do is it's going to iterate over every country object, and it's going to it uses each with index, so it's going to print out we do index plus 1 because index start at 0, so we want the list to start at 1 instead of that. So print index plus 1, and then we print country.country basically is country.name, so it's like the object dot, like the name of the object. So country.name instead. But since in the data they didn't have name, they had country instead, I had to use country. And I'm not sure if there's a way to like transform that, but if anybody has any ways or methods after looking over this that I can that they can help me with, you can post it in like the comments or message me or email me, and I'll leave all that info at the end. Okay, so it'll show us the country name, the state name or province name, because in the data it pulled back province, but I put in, I did like a puts, it's province or state, so people don't get confused, and then a city name. Okay, and then made a method, And I made a lot of methods here. I know I could have cut that down, but I guess it's better to make things kind of like or make a method for every single thing that you want to do. I guess that's a better way of doing things or working on something. So user pick method gets called over here after the list shows up, and the user gets to enter in an input, and if the input is valid, well, if it's invalid, it's going to say invalid, but if it's valid, then it's going to, put or put in the list for him, and then he can choose whatever country or city. Let's see here. And I know I did this here. I could have done input dot capitalize and put in a small, but while I was doing it, I just did it like that. So I'm just gonna leave it be, unless you guys want me to change it, or if the teacher tells me to change it, then I'll change it. So else if input equal list, and then do the country list. Else do the selection, country selection with input. So country selection here, we pass in a name. We take the input, which if the input is U.S. or China or whatever country name it is, it's gonna pass it in here, and it's gonna we basically we stored the country objects in a variable and passed in the or called in the find by country method from right here. And then after that, we're going to pass in the argument name, which is the name of the country, and then iterate over every single object and basically print out this information right here. So the name, the province or state, the city, last updated, the number of confirmed cases, and the number of dead people, and number of recovered, blah, blah, blah. And then I made a method here for invalid entry. So if the user enters in something that is not valid, it's going to say invalid entry, try again, and it's going to loop out, and then well, basically loop and call menu again, so the user can have the chance to enter in the correct input. And then finally, we made a goodbye method for the user, which says, goodbye and whatever the name that was entered, because you have the chance to enter in your name at the beginning of the application, and then say, don't forget to wash your hands. And that's pretty much all of it. More on that. It all is get run from here. So we call, we're gonna do the CLI object. We're gonna initialize it and then call in the call method. And basically, that'll run the whole program. And then we have to require everything that is in here, and require the unirest gem that I used basically for the API. Okay, so now I'm just gonna work on some code and do the city method here and see how that works. Here. So that's it. Arguments. And let me just open command. So this is how the project runs. You enter in your name. That's my name. And then if you enter in list, like you see, there's a lot of data. So if you enter in US, it'll show us a lot of the hashes. And some of them don't have a city, but some of them do, like here. If you scroll up here, we'll see city, blah, blah, blah. So we enter this in, we can enter in like another country like China or Canada, Zambia. And then it'll show us that information. So we want to do it by city. So I want to do, say there's a city, I know there's a city called like Yellowstone. So if I enter Yellowstone, it's not going to do anything. So I want it to do, if I enter in Yellowstone, to give in information. That's the next step. So it's going to probably follow the same logic as the above method. Let me just fix this real quick here. Select every country. So select every country object. And this time do country.city dot capitalize equal to the argument that we want to pass. I think that should work. And test it out. So comment this out real quick so we can test it out. And then I'm going to call that method after I build it here. So we'll build it over here. Just make sure it's on the same line. Let's call it city selection. And do, and then do same logic as above. So instantiate new country objects. This time is going to be find by city and passing the argument. And over here, we're going to have to call city selection and pass in the input that is going to get taken or get entered from the user. And, my scroll thing isn't working well, so sorry about that. So do same objects, CLI each, do, then pass in C in the block. So each, basically, to explain more, it's going to be each hash. Or each country object, basically, that is instantiated. And then we're so each country object that is instantiated is basically C. And we're calling the find by city method that we created over here on the new objects that are being created, basically. So after iterating on the hash, then we have to print out, let's just do, well, we'll just do all of, we'll just copy paste this, which I know do not repeat, but I'm not sure. We'll just try to refactor later, if anything, and then just, and yeah, should be it. So one end for the iteration, one end for the, okay, that looks good. So it's about the same logic. Let's see if it'll work, actually. Syntax error. Oh, we need an end over here. Is there's an end for the iteration, and then we need an end for the method. That was the mistake. Okay, and let's see now. Okay, so enter in my name, say maybe. So let's find a city. City, Baldwin. There's two cities, but one of them there's different states. So I like that. So if the user enters in Baldwin, it should give us all the Baldwin cities and then the states of the countries for them. So we'll do Baldwin. And okay, so this is printing because I wanted to output on the batch. Okay, so we have 2 hits and then everything else is false. So I think it should be working fine. So just remove this from here. Let's try it again. And what did we say? Baldwin. Okay, there we go. So it pulled up the 2 cities. They're Baldwin. One of them is in the U.S. Well, both of them are in the U.S. One of them is in Alabama. The other one is in Georgia. And the showcases the confirmed cases and number of people that are dead and number of people that are recovered. But now, if we call in the country, then it won't work. So we have to fix that. So that's an easy fix. If we do this, let's see if this will work. So we'll do country selection and city selection. Do Baldwin again. This one works, US. This one works. And then do Yellowstone. Awesome. So that works. So we can select it by country or by city. We can actually do this too. Just to make it prettier, I guess. Or actually, that's going to be not an or, it's going to be an in. Let's see. Let's just listen out just to see. It doesn't matter. This Canada. Oh, Canada. Okay, so we see Canada, Yellowstone, and Yellowstone. Okay, awesome. That works. If we that was fun. That was easy. Oops, I almost used a bad word. Okay, that's great. I'm not sure if I needed to add anything else video-wise, but there's the project. To kind of try to explain almost, how that works, because I didn't have the chance to explain that while I was coding it. And just wanted to add something just to make sure that, I don't get nobody's telling me you should plagiarize this because I didn't. And it's fairly new because the API is brand new because it's on the coronavirus, which is happening right now. Other than that, though, if I hope you guys enjoyed this, and if you have any questions or concerns or anything like that, you can email me, and I'll post I'm going to post this on YouTube, and I'll post a link to the GitHub for it and everything. I just need to edit on there as well, so I need to push it with the new stuff that we just made. So yeah, that's about it, and I hope you guys enjoyed it, and stay safe out there, and have a good day.